I get so nervous with stuff like this. I will say my crypto meter is also going ding, 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 ding. Every alarm's going off because
Yeah.
CNBC can't get enough crypto right now. And when you
Remember when they
see
hated it?
that, what's that?
Remember when they hated it?
Yeah, no, and they still do, don't get me wrong, but they can't get enough of those people on to promote it right now and talk about it. And that's usually when we get nervous. But what I will say also is we're just seeing the start of like Bitcoin becoming highly searched on Twitter and on,
Right.
YouTube and that stuff again. So it's hard for me because like I said, I have warning labels going off over here, but at the same point, I know where that is the boomers of the world are now saying, "Oh crap." Guys like Steve and Hondo have been saying for the last 3, 4, 5 years, 7 years, get into Bitcoin, even if it's just 1%. Now I need
Right.
my 1%, but those boomers have a lot of cash. We
Right.
know that right now.
But the
So
but the problem
it,
is still the same, Howard, is that how do they hold it? How do
it's
they
going to be
put
the
it in
ETFs.
their
These inflows are insane.
right, right. But
Insane.
right, and of course, as one of the original promoters of ETFs and Bitcoin, I can say that I've called this when ETFs were to get approved by the government, then Bitcoin would go through the roof. But it's still the same as if it's not your keys, it's not your coins, right? And people don't really like that. They want to own the Bitcoin, they want to own
Well, so I don't
physical
think
gold.
that's what this wave is, though. I'm with you. I mean, that
Okay,
is a
all right.
huge part of it. I think this wave is like the like again, it's your dad who's saying, you know what, Steve's been talking about this crap forever. I need to have a little bit now. I want to touch
Yeah,
it, and you know what? If I do it through IBIT, it's so much easier for my taxes. It is. I'm
right,
not going to lie to anybody. That's
right,
the trade-off. Is now you're
right.
not treating it as crypto. It's a
But
fund.
but
It's
they but
going
they
just
won't be part of the new future where the
no, no,
crypto
I
is
get
in
it,
your
but it's still that amount. Again, it was something that you and I were talking about earlier this morning, where where like a Bitcoin ETF can't decide to sell Bitcoin unless people sell the shares of that ETF, and inflows are all we're seeing. So, there's not that pressure. Like I used to be so like right now I'd be so nervous because all we're seeing is there's $2.8 billion in bets right now on Bitcoin topping 90K. And that, when I say that, that's on the futures market. Normally that'd be a huge red flag
and I
also,
remember when people
except
were
that it
making fun
doesn't
of
move the
us,
needle anymore.
but I
That will
remember
drop it a
but
percent.
people making fun of us, Howard, saying 100,000 aren't saying they're saying,
No,
yeah, we're
I was
close.
one that told you I thought July. I think what I'm seeing with the liquidity. Today is going to be an extremely telling day for me. I want to see what inflows do today because if we see another jump up, and I mean a jump like over a $500 million worth,
Yeah.
then watch out. It's going to
But a
squeeze
hundred
it.
billion dollars in the markets of a market trying to catch up to the rest of the world isn't a lot because there isn't a lot of Bitcoin out there to
No,
buy.
that's what I'm saying. That's if that hits today, then this hype because then those boomers are already in profit. So now they start. Now your dad tells your uncle. You know what I mean? Man, I
The
bought this
taxi
thing. I'm
driver,
already
right?
up 5%. The mother-in-law will start asking me how does she buy it.
Right.
So those are the things we're at. We're at that
Now,
inflection
let's be
point.
honest, Howard. Over the weekend, we saw a run up, and I sold quite a bit at, I believe, 81.5. I gotta look at the numbers again, but and then it got down to 78.6 again, and I bought back because
Right.
I don't want to miss the run again. Now, listen, I wasn't selling everything because I've got a pile, and so I'm still stacking Sats. I think we stack Sats up until Bitcoin becomes $1 million a coin. I don't think that's unusual. Tom Lee says 150,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I don't like to get into the huge speculation of it. Everybody knows my long-term
right,
philosophy on it. If you own one Bitcoin, then you are going to be set. Your next generation is going to be set at some point. So if you do that math, you get to sort of where I think it will be.
but there just
With
isn't
some of
enough
that being
Bitcoin.
said, though, I also Bitcoin mining companies and some of those other ones that are going to get a huge jump today. I might start to look to short a little of that. And the reason is their profitability, while it goes up, it doesn't go. They don't hold the amount of Bitcoin they used to. Most of them, had to unfortunately unload a lot of that to stay through the bear market. So I don't know that they have the upside. The other thing that worries me about that is if the U.S. government, if Trump is really going to put a big investment into that area, that makes it everybody else makes less money that's already in that market.
Right.
And we know that the Saudis are going to do that in bricks. So I think Bitcoin mining is going to get a huge amount of hash rate. I'd rather be, again, give me the picks and shovels right now. Give me the Nvidias and the other things that go into those Bitcoin
You know,
mining farms.
right. But when I hear picks and shovels in the markets, and I hearken back to the time of gold mining and people selling gold, people selling the picks and the axes. The gold's now worth more than the picks and the axes back then, right? And the technology of that. So I look at the same thing, right? Can the companies like Mara and the miners, can they keep up technology wise? Because quite frankly, we're going to need quantum computing in order to mine. There's not going to be any other way of handling this. Nvidia is going to be, I think, will still be on the forefront of that, the video cards, but the software side of this is also going to have to keep up because, quite frankly, um, it's going to get harder and harder to mine. We know that's how it works with Bitcoin, right? And as we get into the last, especially now with everything getting picked up right now, um, we might speed up Moore's law here. I think that's what I heard over the weekend, that Moore's law is now back into normality with crypto again. That's crazy. Doubling it again and doubling again next year. Wow. I just don't see companies like that keeping up unless they spend heavily. And the only way they can spend heavily is if they sell their Bitcoin that they
Uh,
have.
and that's what they're
They're
doing. They're,
selling.
they're all they're
They
all
are
they're
doing that.
all
Okay.
even Mara sells. Some of them are holding some as a treasury idea, but actually a lot of those, what we're seeing is we're seeing shifts. We're seeing, it was interesting. Square got out of announced that they'd shut down TBD, which was their sort of Bitcoin second layer stuff that they were doing. The next sort of wave of Bitcoin, adoption, and they're focusing more money on mining moving forward. But there are some mining companies that are getting out of mining and now using their data centers, using their space for AI data centers because there's more money in that than there is in the mining, in their opinion. So the bigger what it is, well, I guess what I'm saying is the bigger are going to get bigger and the smaller ones are moving into different areas because it's more profitable to be somewhere else.
And especially with Bitcoin now at, well, I guess 82,000 right here, everybody's in profit. So
Yeah.
at some point, you're going to see some profit taking. Some of these people are going to take profit. My last big buy was at 55,000. 82,000. That even makes me nervous to keep things in, right? As a normal trader, going, hey, you know what? This is a run. But this is not FOMO. This is not just I got to keep on. This is real. This is
Well, yeah,
actually
because that's what I was
happening.
gonna say is that I'm with you on that, and there are definitely people, myself included, that look at certain ranges and say at that point I'm gonna take a little bit of profit. But I also think again those people that are coming in right now, a lot of this boomer retail that wants to put 1% in, they're not. They're gonna say, I'm riding this out, I'm gonna put it in and forget about it. Because a lot of them are doing
The
it in
Aaron Sturgeons of the
401ks.
world, yeah.
That's the big thing that's just opened up to. IBIT opened you up to 401ks and all that world that you really didn't have access to before, and that would be the place where I would tell someone that's 30 or 40 years old personally that is looking to do something and saying, I'm going to
My,
hold it till retirement.
Aaron, if you told me that people would be trading IBIT in their 401k 2 years ago, I would have been like, that's a little much. Today, that's just normal.
Yeah, I mean,
That's how
that's,
fast the world's
if that's
changing.
what you're looking for, diversification, um, that's the wave, and as you said, this is going to give you 4 years at least of, you know, establishing America back towards the forefront of blockchain technology, crypto in
Yep.
general, getting the right regulations in place so that people aren't just getting, scammed because let's face it, there are bad actors there, just like there are bad actors in all the other sectors of business and everything else. So I look forward to it. I really do look forward to seeing what happens, helping to work on some of this stuff on Capitol Hill with ABCA, both you and I. on that area. And then with
Here's a question
Quasar,
for you, Howard.
educating people on this now, is getting people so they understand what to look for if they're trying to invest. What is the technology, that you should be looking at, because there are so many coins out there and the majority of them are crap.
And here's a question for you. I mean, with all of this excitement, does FTX, does Sam Bankman-Fried get released? Does the world?
No, because those people still lost their money. You know what I mean? Is that doesn't change. No, it actually, because that starts to get worse. Now those numbers, you're going to hear those people complain louder, because
Sure.
now that Bitcoin I didn't get back, or the stuff I'm still, that you paid me out in cash, A, giving me a taxable event, and B, taking me out of the market, and you paid me at dollars.
And does Michael Saylor does he take any profit at any point here?
No, I mean, there's a guy who should, but no, no. Just, I mean, again, he's raising 42 more billion to buy more. He's not selling. No, because if you really, I mean, if you're that orange pilled in where you really do think it becomes this sort of, worldwide currency that backs all
I
others,
do.
then you never sell. Then because you know what that number means. I mean, we know what the currency
Yeah.
world trades on a daily basis versus anything else. That's and then that's where
And
you're
we're not
right,
we're not
where
even
again
seeing
the
that. Wait,
mining
wait.
companies, because transactions at that point will be so large and the fees on them, that's the whole thing to keep in mind, is where everything changes is when Bitcoin's getting used so much that the actually transactional fees, as opposed to the mining rewards,
Right.
are enough to pay miners to do their job, which it will eventually get to. That's that Moore's law, and everything
Right.
else plays into
And
that part.
but we're only talking about it from a business standpoint, from a standpoint of transactional fees, or a point of that will Walmarts of the world accept Bitcoin. But we're not even talking about governments buying Bitcoin.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm
now
sort
you're
of
talking
saying.
about,
That's where
okay,
I am. I'm like saying, yeah. Now, if you're settling trade and you're doing the
El
stuff, the
Salvador
movement
is
of it, I do think that a lot of that is going to get done on second layers. That's why I was surprised by SQ's decision to move out of that business. So I
yeah,
wonder if it's that they were so far behind people like Blockworks and other companies that have been in that area for a long time, Galaxy Digital, that they
yeah.
either that, or B, that they just realized, hey, mining is getting to the point where, again, now I buy in, it's going to be the reserve currency of the world, and the transaction fees are going to be enough that I want to be the biggest, baddest miner on the block. So, that's where I don't have that insight into, Jack Dorsey's mind to know what the reasoning was there. I wish I did a little more, because that's the question. I think that a lot of this stuff's gonna get done with second layer. I think there is
Well, I
going to
think Jack
be.
Dorsey got a big payout of $44 billion by a guy named Elon Musk, and
Oh
he's
yeah.
probably out fishing. Is a good,
Well, they're
good.
partnered together in that mining
That's
company.
right.
Remember, and so is Michael
Yes.
Saylor. You know what I mean? Is that
So,
the three
so they're
companies
all
that are
they're all
doing the
together,
world's
and
largest green energy Bitcoin mining
right.
facility to ever be produced? It's being done in Texas right now. Is a partnership between MicroStrategy, VanEck, Tesla, and Square. So,
All right, let's get off crypto for a little bit.
yeah, let's see
Oil
what's going on in the real
68.45
world,
now a
right?
barrel. Yeah, oil 68.45 a barrel. We said that. We knew that this was coming. I told everybody, look, they're going to be dumping lots of oil into the market, and we know that the president says drill, baby, drill. We know that it's just going to be where prices come down pretty heavily now, and we're going to be more of an exporter than we are an importer. There's a balance right now, somewhat. 1 month we're up as an exporter, 1 month we're up as an importer, just depending on the weather and